Okay, now for Psalm chapter 2. And before we get started into this quite famous psalm, we must preface it just with a little bit of intro. Now, we know from the New Testament that David did write Psalm 2. But it has been supposed that David composed this psalm after he had taken Jerusalem from the Jebusites and made it the head of the kingdom in 2 Samuel 5, 7 through 9. The Philistines, hearing this, encamped in the valley of Rephaim, nigh to Jerusalem, and Josephus says that all surrounding nations united their armies to those of the Philistines in order to destroy David. David, having consulted the Lord, gave them battle and totally overthrew the whole of his enemies. I also agree with David Guzik in this. Like many psalms, the theme of Psalm 2 is emphasized in the final verse. We can defy God and perish, or we can surrender to Him and be blessed. Verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against His anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. And the breaking of the bands there really has this feel of they're in chains. Christopher Hitchens, he once said that going to heaven to him would be like going to hell, because he doesn't want to be ruled over a dictator. And that's how so many of them see the yoke of Christ. Christ says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Satan is the one whom demands you die for him. Christ actually died for us in order for us to go to heaven. What dictator dies for their own people? It's the exact opposite of a dictator, as a matter of fact. Jesus says, I call ye not servants, but friends. But either way, they're saying we're going to cast these chains off of us and so forth. But he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Notice how David correctly notes how God is in heaven, truly denoting the transcendent nature of God, how much greater He is than all of these conspiring against Him, though He is not included and comprehended in them, but is everywhere. They think they're hiding in their secret places. He knows their very thoughts. Matter of fact, He has known them from eternity past. And to show the vast distance there is between them and how they are as nothing to Him. Laughing is ascribed unto Him according to the language of men, and expresses His security from all their attempts. Then shall He speak unto them in His wrath, and vex them in His sore displeasure. Yet have I set my King upon my holy hill of Zion. Yesterday I was speaking to my parents, my family, and we were discussing Bible as we always do, and suddenly this clap of thunder happened. And I mean, it was one of those that shakes the earth. It's so loud. It literally sounded like a bomb going off in the sky. And I made mention, I said, the voice of God is likened unto thunder in the Bible. And could you imagine standing before the Almighty God and it sounds like a nuclear bomb going off every word that He speaks. I mean, it's incomprehensible terror at that point. But do notice the extreme twist in between verses 4 and 5. It says, He'll sit in the heavens, hear their words, and laugh. They're trying to plot against how to destroy Him, like Satan from the very beginning. He'll hear these foolish attempts, laugh, and then suddenly His wrath comes down upon them in an instant. And though this whole chapter has a messianic feel to it, verse 7 really picks up on this. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. And who do we know as the only begotten Son of God? I tell people quite often, we are adopted into God's family through Christ. We are sons of God, daughters of God, but there is only one, the Son of God. So it's the Father speaking to the Son, and He says, Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. To which verse 8 is really a note on how this cannot be speaking of King David. And we'll see that consistently throughout the Psalms about how there is this much broader, much more epic, divine view in the prophetic sense going on. Pulpit commented, a very small part of the heathen were the inheritance of David, a very small portion, and therefore the Messiah only can be spoken of in this verse. Just as one can clearly see by rereading, I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. When did that ever happen with David? Before Messiah, all kings were to fall down, all nations to do him service, not David. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and rejoice with trembling. And now for the final verse, and one of my most favorite of all verses in the entire Bible. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. What lovely poetry, just ascending into the heights of all great royalty. Matthew Poole noted as a final comment, the Son, kiss the Son, lest he be angry with you, which is a submissive gesture, like kissing his hand, kissing his feet. The Son, to wit, the Son of God, obviously, called here the Son by way of eminency and in a singular manner, which agrees much better to Christ than to David, who is never particularly called by this name. So I repeat once again, my friends, kiss the Son, love the Lord, and fear God, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little.